Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we are here live on a Tuesday night. Not as always. Usually we're almost always live Thursdays, but there's just been a lot going on, it seems, on Tuesdays that it prompts us to go live. So we're here. DK, of course, is in the background. Glenn, how you doing tonight, my man?
Doing pretty good. I think that we're going to finally, hopefully, get some sort of resolution in the next day or so. But,
You are
at the
very
same time,
optimistic.
well, I think that we may at least start to hear some rumblings, some rumors come out. I think that the domino of A-Rod will finally drop, which I think will help because at least it'll put me a little bit at ease because I think the Jets were one team that I think would have the want to and ammunition to go get Lamar Jackson if Aaron Rodgers decided to go back to the Packers or retire or go elsewhere. But so just to see him and see the Jets out of the picture, to see, I think the Raiders are pretty much out of the picture now with signing Jimmy G.
The Falcons.
They bring in
Heineke.
Yeah, for 2 years, 20 mil. You wouldn't bring that guy in to be the backup. You would sign Lamar and let. Backup. Well, I'm saying you wouldn't bring in that guy to be the backup to Lamar. You would bring in Heineke for Ritter. If you were going to sign Lamar, you would let Ritter be the backup. So it's pretty clear they're kind of out of the game. So I'm starting to get a little bit more peace of mind knowing that a lot of these quarterback needy teams, but there's still a few out there that could make things interesting.
Yeah, certainly. And we're of course going to talk about that. We're already diving in, but there's one bit of news that I saw today, and I know you. I mean, I think you were off today, right? So you probably saw this as well, and got a crack up. Adam Schefter said that the hang up for Orlando Brown Jr. not getting a deal is that he considers himself a left tackle, but the other teams value or evaluate him and want to pay him as a right tackle.
Huh. Interesting.
It's funny how it comes full circle like that, right? Like,
it's and I love how quickly they moved on. Like they just went out and got a different tackle, said bye-bye.
Yeah.
Like, he definitely won't be back to the Chiefs. But so it's hard to know like really who won that deal. I mean, they won a Super Bowl with him as the left tackle. So I guess in theory they won the deal, but the Ravens, drafting Odafe, at least to this point, he is underachieved.
Yeah.
But I got to imagine even still, they're disappointed to watch this guy leave when it's clear. It's just funny because when he left here, it wasn't about the money, but it's starting to look more and more like it was definitely about the money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like I obviously want everyone to succeed and make money and things like that. But the only thing that was, I don't know, I feel like the thing that was frustrating for me was watching the whole thing play out and just maybe I didn't really understand. Right. Ultimately, it was about money, and that's why you switch positions. But a team that gave up picks for you, a first-round pick, who has invested in you heavily, like first-round picks are valuable, is still not willing to give you what you're wanting. Does he want, what are his asks? I think it's, some of these players think they're in the NBA where it's a totally different scenario. This ain't the NBA. It just simply isn't. And I know left tackles are hard to come by, Glenn, but I mean, if his own team on tape was like, we're good.
That's the weird part. Yeah. I mean, and everybody's watching the tape. So, but here's the thing he does bring. He brings, durability. He was there every single game.
That's true. And he's always been durable.
Yep, he protected the blind side of this, the MVP and Super Bowl winning quarterback. So I think he'll ultimately get a job. But yeah, I'm not mad at all to see that things go sour between those two after the way he forced his way out of Baltimore.
Yeah, for sure. So I figured that probably got a good smile from you because I know that you were one of the first people that I'll say it. People were hesitant to just call him out for what it was. People were hesitant because, you don't want to he's using the shield of his passed away father. And I'm sure there's some truth to that, but ultimately the money was the root issue, not the position.
Certainly looks like it, but we'll see how it all kind of irons out, but somebody's going to pick him up and, they'll get a solid tackle that will be there every single game. And not be a complete disaster. So
Yeah. I just wonder if that deal will be better than the one that Kansas City presented to him originally.
that's a good question.
You know, I don't know. So, all right. Well, anyway, just wanted to get to that, but let's move on. Look, people
Yeah,
are filing in here, and I
let's do
think I
it.
know why, Glenn.
I mean, I mean, look, we got a lot to cover tonight.
I
I feel
know.
like if we go down that
Yeah,
road
you're not want to
now,
open that can of worms yet.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll never get to the
All right.
other issues. So let me just quickly bang out some of the, the things going around with the Ravens. So Ben Powers, no surprise, he signs elsewhere. He ends up agreeing to a 4-year deal with the Denver Broncos worth $52 million.
Yeah, shout out to Ben. Can we clap it
Yeah,
up
I
for Ben
mean,
Powers? All you can be is happy for Ben, right? Like,
this
oh,
guy
bubble
came
guy,
in.
dude.
Nobody wanted him. Nobody
Yeah.
wanted him until this year, and then all of a sudden, he explodes onto the scene and turns himself into not just like a good run blocking. This guy was good at both, and so you got to give the guy credit. He gets 28 and a half of full guarantees. I mean, shout out to the Ravens though for developing him. I doubt there was many teams that thought when he was drafted that he'd end up being a guy that gets signed for this rich of a contract. So yeah, shout out to Ben Powers. No surprise he's gone, but yeah, I think that's a kudos to him
And a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we got guys that are ready to step into that role, but we will miss Ben Powers, no doubt about it. And then, maybe, I think more surprising, I was not at all surprised to see Ben Powers leave. Maybe some of the money was a little bit of a shock, but this one blew my hair back. The Vikings signed tight end Josh Oliver to a 3-year, $21 million deal. He gets 10.7 million in guarantees and has incentives that can take that deal up to $24 million. So another, shout out to him, but and shout out to the Ravens. I mean, look, they trade this a 7th round pick for this guy.
For sure.
And they not only turn it into I believe it's going to be a 4th round comp pick because of this signing, but also, shout out to Josh Oliver. He was basically cast away from Jacksonville. He reworks his whole game, turns himself into one of the very best blocking tight ends in the league, while also having that athleticism to, catch some balls down the field. And you got to give the guy credit. He worked his tail off, and also the coaching staff for the tight ends and the offensive line for developing these two guys. You got to give them credit.
Yeah, I love these stories because this is one of the mantras I have in my life, in that, like, who you are today isn't who you have to be tomorrow, right? Like, these guys, if you look at the transformation that Ben Powers and Josh Oliver made, not only in their game, like developmentally, but even physically in their time here, it was impressive. Their flexibility improved. Certainly Ben spent way less time on the ground. And he showed things that he could do that he couldn't previously do very well. And same thing, obviously, with Josh Oliver. The one of the reporters came out and said, he gets signed and he's describing who Josh Oliver is and said one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. Who would have said that 18 months ago?
Right.
So who you are today, look, folks, is not who you have to be tomorrow. Put in the work, I think that's awesome, man. Shout out to those guys.
And is that proof that blocking still matters at the tight end position? It's not all about
100%.
Because look, this guy had the athleticism. What he didn't have is the blocking. That's what seemingly got him paid.
Yeah, and then think about this, Glenn. It will that point will be reinforced because now the Ravens don't have a blocking tight end. Sure, you have Patrick Ricard, and maybe they just do that more with Ricard. But there are a lot of times, at least last year, where Ricard and Oliver on the field, Ricard and Boyle, Ricard and a guy who's a traditionally blocking tight end were on the field at the same time. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens go out there and look around or draft a guy that is a blocking first tight end, because right now they really got 3 receivers.
They do, and I think, but I think you already hit the nail on the head as far as their answer to that problem, and it's going to be Pat Ricard, because what
just
other
way, more and more Pat.
Yeah, because what other way can he make himself valuable? And also, he's athletic enough. He's certainly big enough. He's too big, if anything, for the position. And so I think he's going to be a fine fit to take over that blocking role. And in fact, that's the only way he'll make himself valuable.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you there. So let's see. Let's talk about some other things. I know that, let's see. Tyler Brooks. What up, Tyler? Big crybaby. Oh, weird. He didn't stay for the rings. Yeah. I really think that oversold himself a bit. This seemed to be a fumble on his part. I wonder if him and his agent disagreed on this, or he just has a bad agent. I don't know who just was giving him bad information, because you don't make this decision generally, at least without information. Say,
No.
what's out there, right?
But also, I wonder how much of this wasn't just the money. I mean, I'm sure that was a big part of it, but also having to deal with a player that's constantly like you see, and we're going to get into it next. We see constantly around the league players reworking their deals, and some people take a little bit of pay cuts, some people just convert salary into signing bonus. But if you have a guy it's already difficult to get anything done negotiation wise, why do I want to sign up for another how many years of this where I didn't, maybe I need to come to him in 2 years and go, hey, can we rework this to kind of help get some cap relief? Is he going to be open to that? Or is he going to be like, well, I'm glad you came actually, because I actually want more money than I did 2 years ago. So I think a lot of that's just, let's not deal with this headache down the road. If it's already a headache now, it's probably going to continue to be one.
Yeah, that's one of my concerns about what type of proverbial bridge Lamar could be burning here, right? Like, even if you get your money, you got to sometimes play the long game. So we'll get into that and things like that. Let's put this one on pause real quick. Nick, we will get to you.
Yeah, because that's going to dominate everything.
Yeah, so right. So, but there are a couple other things that are worth talking about.
Yeah.
Number one, Gus Edwards, we kind of already knew this, but now we know the details of it. Reworked his deal, took a $900,000 pay cut, I believe, this year, and I think his cap hit this year is all in a little over $2 million at this point. So look, we're glad to have Gus here. He's no dumb guy. He knows where he's valued, and he knows where he can get the most opportunities, I believe, to be successful. And, he's done so obviously in Baltimore, made himself a lot more money than he was projected to make coming into the league. So
let's also remember, Jimbo, I think is a key part of this reworked contract is that while they did reduce his pay by $1 million, they added incentives that he can earn back more than what he just lost. So this isn't like a deal where he's just, coming in and going, all right, I'll give you more. I'll give you some money back. No, he still has an opportunity with health and hitting certain accelerators where he can earn back the money he's currently agreeing to give back this year. So it's not a total pay cut, but it still helps the Ravens out in a big way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from a salary cap perspective, that's a big deal. And then obviously, I think we talked about this in the last show with Calais Campbell being gone. That's what 7,000 off the books.
7 million.
Or 7,000. What? 7 million off the books. Yeah, let's add a couple zeros.
If it was only 7,000, I think he'd still be here.
Yeah, exactly. Calais Campbell also off the books. What other reworks am I missing?
Kevin Zeitler.
Zeitler. Yeah. What are the details of that?
I'm trying to find that now. I see the combination of the two.
Between him and Gus?
Yeah, brought back 7 million. So I guess his was somehow they created 6 million because as far as I know. Let's see here. It says, I believe 6 million was from Zeitler. So 6.1, I think, is the number I'm seeing here. So that's awesome because I think that was one guy where we were like, maybe they might have to get rid of this guy. I mean, maybe he ends up being too expensive, but it's clear now with this rework deal that Zeitler's going to be back. And that's awesome for the Ravens. If you're going to lose one of your guards, you don't want to lose both your guards in the same offseason, especially when those two were good players. It's not like you're, getting rid of two bad guards. You're getting rid of two good ones. So it's nice to have Zeitler back. So it looks like the line will have relative continuity, Jimbo, outside of a new left guard starter. But it's not like I don't think it'll be a stranger. I think it'll be Ben Cleveland. It'll be somebody already in the building who's worked with those guys next to him.
Yeah, and don't forget that, I don't know how, I guess they didn't overlap, but Ben Cleveland, Georgia guy, obviously, his new OC is a Georgia guy.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, I don't think that they overlapped because he was only there, 2 years at Georgia?
Is it only 2? Okay.
Or did he just win 2 national championships? Maybe he was longer than that. I'd have to check that. But certainly some familiarity there from I would be willing to bet overlap in scheme and also verbiage, things, vocabulary and things like that. So hopefully that helps out. I think you're right. I think it's his job to lose. But yeah, so with all of that in mind right now, the Ravens have, according to Brian McFarland at the Russell Street Report, $10 million, sorry, $10 million in cap space as of today.
Mm-hmm.
So look, I think the Ravens are going to sign somebody.
Well, also, they
sitting
have
on
to be
$10 million.
prepared for a possible match.
Yeah, no, that's true. Certainly. But I think in a lot of scenarios, even in matching, I think that it would favor the Ravens getting an extension done instead of eating that.
Depends on
It
the
does.
way they work it. You know, it depends on
Yeah,
how they
no,
try and
absolutely.
screw us. But no, I think you're right. I think this is setting up to where, hey, maybe the Ravens are trying to make a move for DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe they are. You know, look, they saw the Bears go out and they get DJ Moore for their young quarterback. They
Mm-hmm.
see, you know, in years past with Buffalo and what they did with Jalen Hurts getting AJ Brown. I mean, you just go around the league and you see guys getting, you know, proven wide receivers, and their career or their next season they explode statistically. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're just trying to find a little extra space in hopes to lure in either a trade or some sort of a free agent acquisition.
Yeah, absolutely. The other one, of course, you know, it's seemingly every wide receiver in Denver for the Broncos is up for
Yeah, Judy.
on the trade block. So Judy could be one.
Yeah.
I know some people aren't big fans of Sutton, but I think he's a player. Obviously, I mean, I'd rather have
I think
Judy.
Sutton got signed somewhere.
Did I miss that?
I think Sutton is maybe with the Lions, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, whether he is or not, I mean, I think the guy's a player. I've seen him, you know, make some big plays. Certainly, I've heard some people compare him to Miles Boykin, which is
Oof.
not
Oof.
a great comparison. But yeah, the other activity in the AFC North as well. Patrick Peterson comes to Pittsburgh. I think he made a mistake on that one. But the news about that, Glenn, is that I did not know this, but apparently Vinny, shout out to Vinny Serrano, said that he was on with a Pittsburgh radio show yesterday, and apparently Marcus Peters was slotted to come to Pittsburgh.
So maybe now they found their guy,
and they signed Patrick Peterson instead. So it increases the chances, I think, of Marcus Peters coming back.
And another rumor was that Marcus Peters was going to be they were going to try and lure him to the Cowboys. And now we see they just landed Gilmore, big time cornerback, for just a 5th round pick, which is just crazy. But that would likely mean that they're out of the market for an expensive cornerback. So yeah, I mean, that things are pointing towards maybe him coming back, but let's also remember a lot of the predictions I'm seeing from the first round is that the Ravens are going to go corner. So
yeah, but even if he does come back, doesn't mean you don't take a corner, right?
Right, exactly. And speaking of corners, Eli Hoff says the Ravens did sign Trayvon Mullins today. Yep, to a 1-year deal. And to those of you who don't know, that is Lamar Jackson's cousin.
Yeah.
And then he further goes on to say, and I want to see Calais come back. He's the epitome of a Raven. Who's on your free agents? I'll say this. I don't think by the statement he released, the statement released by the team and Eric DeCosta, that he will be back.
Yeah.
It was too much of a send-off for him to come back. I think it was – I don't see him coming. I think they gave him an offer to rework his deal, and he said, no thanks. And so I think he's going to find his 100th sack in a different uniform. I think it was too much of a send-off. I think –
But in the message, didn't they say that there's a chance that he could come back?
There is, but I just saw he was so over the top with his gushing about Calais that I think he's gone. But I hope I'm wrong, because he would be a massive loss. But I can't imagine there's not a good amount of teams that would love to have him. I mean, he's still playing at a very, very high level.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I'm sure he put some feelers out there in the market. His agent did and said, what can we get out there? And didn't, like you said, want to rework the deal. But ultimately, to me, the having to release Calais Campbell on that day meant that was another day where Lamar just said, nah, I don't want this deal either. And the Ravens realized, well, we're like, I hate to be pessimistic about it. I know we're going to get into it, but I think that to me, as soon as I saw that, Lamar's playing on the tag. Deal's not getting done. I felt like that was an indicator right there, because they're like, well, this is the one lever we can pull and the one that we don't want to, right? Like, the last thing you want to do is release the rights to a guy who's a starter for you, who's playing well, who's a leader, who's all these positive things, even though he's aging, and have to, figure out how to fill that hole. And they simply had to, because, Lamar's playing on the tag. So Anyway, that's just my thoughts. But it's just Quan says Bieniemy gets his first chance to prove to the world he's a top OC, and he wouldn't want to call Lamar Jackson someone who he would have loved to have in Baltimore. I'm
not
confused.
sure what that means, but I'll tell you this: that's the team that's got me the most scared.
Yeah,
about Lamar.
That Snyder will just say,
dude, why not? What has he got to lose? He's definitely selling the team. He knows everybody dislikes him. I'm sure he dislikes them back. Why not open Pandora's box on his way out, sign him to a fully guaranteed deal, and ride off in the sunset, making a lot of money?
And we already know Bisciotti hates him.
And I'm sure he's not alone.
Yeah, no, literally, apparently one of their conversations ended in "F you, Mr. Snyder." Hang up the phone. That's so awesome.
Imagine. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's the team that makes me the most nervous because the Falcons are out. You know, I mean, there's a lot of teams. You nervous? Irsay makes me nervous too. Yeah. Those are the top two, right? And Tennessee, I guess, is also in there. I just don't know if they have the space, and maybe if they can somehow find a way to get rid of Henry.
Yeah,
which there's been rumors.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man, I don't know who's got me. I can totally see the Commanders thing, right?
Yeah.
Because look, ultimately, I don't know how it all works, but if you sell and you're gonna deal with it after a year, well, then you don't gotta deal with it, right? Like, here, Bezos, you deal with it.
Yeah, it's not my problem.
Yeah, you can have training camp on the moon. I don't know, whatever you know what I mean, like whatever it is you're gonna do with the team with your trillions of dollars, but that's an interesting point. Jeez whiz.
I'm not all right now.
Ready to get into it? We'll get into it. And don't forget, DK, also, there are some previous super chats regarding Lamar that we just want to make sure we get back up. But we're officially starting the Lamar Jackson update segment. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. And just so you all know, really quick, we will also be getting into the draft and things like that. But obviously, we got to talk about Lamar Jackson. Sorry.
All right. And
is it going?
This tweet, 133 over 3 years, fully guaranteed.
So this is what happened.
But I need an agent.
Sorry.
All right. So we've got Adam Schefter here.
This is what broke today. Adam Schefter basically, I mean, you'll hear in the bit, he says that he saw the contract. He said he saw the contract with his own two eyes. So I'll let the video take over.
And Schefter, you'll have to dive into this entire situation. But what more can you tell us about the dynamics that were referenced in that tweet and what the Baltimore Ravens at one point offered Lamar Jackson?
Well, listen, Lamar pointed out some facts that he felt were relevant to his situation, right? But here's the deal. This is something that Chris Mortensen and I reported in September. Nothing new. We saw the contract back then. It was reviewed. And the contract included $133 million guaranteed at signing.
Completely
guaranteed. Yep. Then, essentially, there were injury guarantees that brought it up to $175 million guaranteed for injury. That's real. It was 168. There was another $7 million that is accounted for at a little later date. It makes it $175 million in guaranteed salary. Then we mentioned this springing guarantee of basically $25 million. It would have raised it from $175 to $200 million if he was on the roster on the 5th day of the 2026 league year. So 3 years from now, if he's on the roster, he gets another 25. So that's not really guaranteed, even though you're calling it a $200 million springing guarantee. What is guaranteed is 133. What is guaranteed is 175. Because essentially, for that 175 not to kick in, Baltimore would have had to release him now and take a cap hit of $70 million. They're not doing that. So the deal that was offered to him, and these are just the facts from the contract, no spin, no nothing, 175. That was the real guarantee with injury that Lamar Jackson turned down.
And wow. So the first thing I gotta ask is who leaked it? Who do you think leaked it? You think Lamar leaked it? Think the Ravens leaked it?
Yeah, definitely the Ravens leaked it. And I mean, I don't know why Lamar would have any. I don't know what gain he would have out of it, but I can see what benefit the Ravens would have of putting this out the day before teams can contact Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, they're putting it out there going, hey, if you can't beat this, then don't pick up the phone. Yeah. It's basically, what the note, kind of the notice they're putting the league on is if you aren't coming correct with more than 200 million guaranteed, then Don't even worry about calling the NFLPA and trying to get his phone number.
Yeah, and DK, you want to put up your image here as well? Because I thought this was pretty funny. Of course, this was first talked about on Shefty's podcast, and then Baltimore Beatdown says Schefter said originally on the podcast that Lamar turned down $200 million guaranteed deal back in September, and this is Lamar saying, really, because the $200 million would only get up to $200 million if he's on the team in 2026, 3 years from now. But ultimately 175 is fully guaranteed. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this because I'm going to be honest. I'm sick and tired of people piling on the Ravens about 133. You guys are ridiculous. The Ravens are ridiculous. This is a trash offer. Blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of it. I can't take it anymore. Maybe because I'm a Ravens fan. I don't know. Might have something to do with it. Ultimately, Shefty said it here, ladies and gentlemen, loud and clear. $175 million fully guaranteed dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to compare that to the reports you hear about the other guys, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, because the guarantees that they flash on the bottom of the screen is all three categories, like we talked about before, which would have been just like with Lamar, it would have said $200 million because of the guarantees in 2026. So where Kyler was like 189 and then Russell was like 163 or something like that. So Lamar would have had more than both of them. I just want to clarify that.
And more at signing.
And more at signing. So please stop adding to the Twitter conversations and saying 133, that's it. Wasn't it. Just wasn't it. That's
obviously
incorrect.
That wouldn't be it, because that would just be the most lowball BS offer. It'd be so much lower than anyone else has gotten in recent time. That was never even it's like people who really bought that was the full guarantees. Come on.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, you know that as well as I do.
Yeah. But I mean, unless you're talking about a deal this short, which.
Yeah. Now this would be a totally different scenario, right?
This would. And this is the part I don't understand. And Nick, touches on it. He said, did you see LG's liked tweet? Sounds like the $200 million guaranteed in 2026 was the issue. I mean, yeah, it sounds like he wants it all right away, which, the Ravens, I guess, didn't want to do it that way and it could just be accounting purposes. Again, I'm no cap expert, but Lamar does tweet this, and I'm still not sure exactly what he means by this tweet. He says 133 for 3 years, fully guaranteed, but I need an agent. So I guess he's saying that he got that offer without an agent, but that can't be the whole offer unless he requested. Now, because I have heard that they said the Ravens have tried so many different contract, variations. They've tried to do it front load. They try to back load. They try and do this. They try and do that. So maybe this was one of their offers. They said, look, how about we do this? How about we give you a shorter deal? That way you hit free agency again at what, 27, 28?
29.
And you have, 29. And you have the ability to then hit another massive wave.
That's crazy. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 40,000 years old.
Exactly. And he's getting paid.
Right.
So at 29 as a quarterback, you're still in the prime of your career.
Think about it. He was literally a freshman in high school when Lamar Jackson was born.
Yeah. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. It makes sense. And now they're playing against each other and probably going to be in the same conference.
So yeah, you're right. My point in saying that is Lamar can hit it again at 29. And then, this we talked about, this is comparable to Manny Machado in that Manny hit his first big contract so young, even though it was a 10-year deal. He only did the 5 years. And what did we just see? He opted out after 5 years and boom, he hit it again. Right.
Yep. Yeah. So this could be an offer that they offered him in a way of saying, look, you want fully guaranteed, we can fully guarantee a shorter deal. But either way, I mean, it looks like the teams are not any closer to coming to a resolution. And that's the part that's got me, so disappointed. But it doesn't look like for lack of trying from the Ravens end.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. So Lamar puts this tweet out. I guess you think he's angry because the Ravens leaked all this information?
If he believes that the Ravens did, which I do, then I'm sure he's not thrilled.
Or you think he's just reacting to people and
I think he's just reacting to people, like he said in another tweet, throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's saying. But I don't know, man. Shefty was so adamant that he saw the freaking, that's the thing that's got me torn here. Like,
and this is the other thing too. We keep seeing in the comment, like he said that the Ravens pin themselves in a corner to where he's getting 175 because if they don't give it to him, they got to take a $70 million
which is
cap hit, and they're not doing that. So it's 175. Like he was very clear about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe not be at signing, but like, you know, you're whatever the length of time is, it's not the 3 years for the 200. That's a different scenario.
No.
But I'll say this, Glenn. I don't know what to do. Like when I saw it going back and forth and Twitter was exploding this and other, I'm like, I've been here before and we've talked about this before, but I'm at a new level of just over this. Like how much toxicity exists, or is just all the media? I feel like there's so much frustration on both sides at this point. This is just getting ridiculous. Like, I know I love Lamar Jackson and I love the Baltimore Ravens. So it's hard for me. Like, I'm not going to sit here and take sides. There are points to the issue I take sides about and points that I don't. Like, I can see Lamar saying, well, you're going to give me the 200 anyway. Just give it to me now. But I can also see the Ravens being like, dude, we want to work with you. You're a quarterback. We consider you a partner. You know, not you're different than other people. We need some flexibility here. So before we get to DK's thing here, what I want, you know, just a description of the deal. What I want to know, Glenn, is why are there so many trust issues? Why does not Lamar Jackson not trust the Ravens? Like, I ultimately think that's what it is. But he just doesn't trust them to do the right thing or to take care of him later on, or like, you know what I mean? Because what I saw with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs was a willingness to be equally vulnerable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In his deal, right? But like, why, what have the Ravens done to cause so much mistrust? Or is this just the way that he is about the whole league? I don't know. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you agree with me in that, like, he really doesn't trust them? And what do you think that, like, the problem is?
Well, I got to imagine that I don't know if trust issues is the right term, but I think that look, they didn't hire an agent for a reason. You know, they've decided to keep this really tight-knit group for a reason. So maybe they don't trust the outside world, and that includes the Ravens. I'm sure it includes the Players Association. I'm certain it includes the NFL. I mean, I don't know. See, the difference is Pat Mahomes and all those guys, it seems like they entered a partnership with their team. Whereas I'm not so sure if Lamar looks at this as like a partnership with them. I think he looks
bummer.
I know it's a bummer, but I think he looks as it's my job to get as much money as I can for myself, and it's your job to build the team how you see fit. Like, I don't think he looks at is we're in this together. I think he looks at you have your job, I have my job, and that's just is what it is. Whereas I think other quarterbacks look at it as, all right, we're in this together. They want to be involved in personnel talk. They want to be involved in just the grand scheme of what they want to do moving forward as a team. I'm not so sure Lamar wants to be that much of a partner as much as he just wants to be the quarterback. And his job is to make as much money for himself as he can in the short window of opportunity that all NFL players have, which isn't good to hear. I don't love hearing it, but that's just the way it's looking, Jimbo.
I can't disagree with you. It does frustrate me but like, I just want to know what it is that you know causes that. I really do think it's a lack of trust or confidence or you know whatever the word, because if not, then why not create more flexibility with your deal?
Yeah,
I'm
with
anyway.
you. I mean, it just doesn't. It just seems like the Ravens are throwing a Gatling gun of offers, and Lamar's going, "Are you at 231 yet?"
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's just Quan says, I mean, they fully invest in Mahomes. We do defense. I think he's saying that we spend money on defense.
They shipped off his number one receiver last year.
Can we even
stop?
Are we serious about that? Like they have a high price tight end. We have a high price tight end. They're letting their left tackle go. We have a very highly paid left tackle.
Who's better?
We signed a right tackle who I think, you know, everybody can say held down on the right side. Wasn't perfect, but definitely was a huge improvement. Have monster running game. Like what have the Chiefs done that the Ravens haven't done? They're letting guys leave. I don't understand how you can, if you want to give other teams as an example, but the Chiefs are not the example you want to give. Right. They are letting offensive talent leave.
Yeah.
Because they say, we don't we know what is winning games for us, and that's our quarterback, our tight end, and our head coach. So I don't think that's a good comparison. Lisa says he could be cut or traded before that date in 2026 and never see that money. That's his point. Well, the only money he wouldn't be seeing is the 25 million.
Right.
If he doesn't
Not
make it to the
175 million,
Yeah,
which would probably be a parade of Brinks trucks. You're like,
yeah, he's getting that. And by the way, this was the deal presented in September. The Ravens said their best and final offer was on the table as of, a week before they tagged him. So I got to imagine
it was better.
That deal was even a little bit better than the one we're seeing from September, right? I got to imagine.
Be some movement, right?
There's got to be something, because they said this is our very best offer. Well, so I got to imagine it was even better. But 175 fully guaranteed.
No, and look, the other thing too here is this is my exact point. When you truly believe it's a partnership, then look, if I'm Lamar Jackson is ultimately confident, right? Like, he knows his skill set, he knows what he can bring to the team, which he should be. Then in 2026, he's going to be 3 years older. Okay. And he's going to have 3 years of more tape of all the incredible things he's done in the league, this, that, and the other. So in 26, what they do is they take that 25 million. They take another 200 million because the cap is now inflated. They add it on top of it and say, here's your check. Let's extend your contract and let's keep this gravy train going. Like, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
This is the funny thing to me, Glenn. In the tweet, he said 133 million in 3 years, fully guaranteed, but I need an agent. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Lamar Jackson, you know why you need an agent? It doesn't always come down to dollars and cents, but the real estate in here is killing you. Like, it is killing you. You should be hanging out with your OC, getting in the playbook, hanging out with your teammates, like doing all that. I never seen any of the greats. Never. You won't see Mahomes. You won't see Allen. You won't see Brady. You won't see Peyton. Name any of them. They were never this deep in it. Never. It didn't take that much real estate in their brains. Like, segregation of duties is okay. And we can see exactly why right now something like that matters, because his emotional state, his mental state is not on, dang, how are we winning a Super Bowl next year? It is not. Like, it's just simply not. That's why you need an agent, period. That's my opinion. Like, dude, It's taking up too much headspace, Glenn. It's so much mental energy.
No, I agree. I mean, that's very well said, Jimbo. It is. There's never been a quarterback of this even close to the caliber of Lamar Jackson to negotiate his own deal on a second contract because of the complications that deal entails. I mean, there's just, it just seems like, man, it's frustrating to be a Ravens fan right now. That's for sure. Jersey Mike says, I believe the Ravens try to sabotage the nonsense. Jimbo, I'm having trouble to just
I'm getting blasted
putting up with
right
this.
now, and I don't understand why.
Hold on. I believe the Ravens are trying to so the Ravens are actively sabotaging their own player. Oh gosh. With G-Row in that offense, they did it to Gus also, just so they're able to sign him to lower. The Ravens are not trying to lose games, guys.
Yeah.
Their whole purpose is to win games. That's just a nonsensical. Sorry, Jersey Mike. That is nonsense. I hate to say it because I'm not a mean guy, but
don't let Glenn fool you. He's a mean guy. No, I'm kidding.
That is
not a mean guy.
Ridiculous comment that the Ravens are self-sabotaging. That is.
Tom Votto says 133. Yeah, no, it is only guaranteed. He only gets 175 if he gets injured. Oh. So can you pull it back up?
Yeah.
You still have it up, and you only need to play that part. Instead of it coming out of my mouth, maybe it'll help if a third party says it. I don't know.
All right, let's try it here. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know. Look, it's called that way, but let me just understand. 175 is the guarantees, no matter how you say it.
Yeah, because
they said it the same way with Russell Wilson. They call it the injury guarantee. However you want to say it, it's fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
Do you really want me to put the video back up? I have it up if you'd like me to.
Yeah, and just skip to that part. You don't have to, we don't.
What part was that? Because honestly, I
would say just go in like 30 seconds.
Okay.
And then kind of go from there. That's what I would say.
All right, here we go. All right, let's see what's because look, I can only hear it when I don't have these headphones on. So just being honest with you.
That's all right.
All right, so I'm going to jump ahead.
offered Lamar Jackson.
Well, listen, Lamar
This is
pointed
perfect.
out some facts that he felt were relevant to his situation,
Okay.
right? But here's the deal. This is something that Chris Mortensen and I reported in September. Nothing new. We saw the contract back then. It was reviewed. And the contract included $133 million guaranteed at signing.
Fully, complete,
Okay.
unequivocally.
Guaranteed.
133 guaranteed at signing.
Mhm.
Keep going.
Okay.
Then, essentially, there were injury guarantees that
Okay, normal.
$175 million guaranteed for injury. That's real. It was 168. There was another $7 million that is accounted for at a little later date. It makes it $175 million in guaranteed salary. Then we mentioned this springing guarantee of basically $25
We're getting there.
It would have raised it from
Yeah, just let me know, 'cause I
to
can't hear.
$200 million if he was on the roster on the 5th day of the 2026 league year. So 3 years from now, if he's on the roster, he gets another 25. So that's not really guaranteed, even though you're calling it a $200 million springing guarantee. What is guaranteed is
Listen up, guys, because you're
what is
smashing me right now.
guaranteed is 175. Because essentially, for that 175 not to kick in, Baltimore would have had to release him now and take a cap hit of $70 million. They're not doing that. So
You're good.
the deal that
You're good.
All right.
Guys, 175 is the guarantees once again, because the Ravens are not going to take a $70 million cap hit. They're not going to do it. So, like, anyway, I don't mean to get too far down this rabbit hole, but like, it's important to recognize how things are reported on television about other players when you're so hypercritical of our team and the reporting on Lamar. It's not fair. It's simply not fair. DK says, DK, you can put that back up. The $175 million is practically fully guaranteed because Lamar isn't cut before the cap goes down. Exactly, right? Like the Ravens have purposefully painted themselves in a corner they don't have a way out of because they're not going to cut him and eat $70 million for nothing, period. He's going to get the 175. Like, that's just ultimately what it is. It's just a different bucket, ladies and gentlemen. This is how deals are done. This is not always how deals are reported. This is how deals are done. So it's just what it is. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. Lisa says he only sees guaranteed at signing. Yeah, we can keep going. Sorry, Lisa. We appreciate it. But yeah. JL says you don't believe Lamar Jackson shared some of the same sentiments as Hollywood about the scheme. He said many times he enjoys passing the rock. Ravens made a fair deal. Lamar wants 200 guaranteed at signing. I think that, I don't know, Glenn. I mean, I think maybe Lamar had some of the same feelings towards the system, but he was also the MVP, unanimous MVP in the system. So sure, I guess that's just you congratulate him for that, and maybe he still feels hamstrung by the system, but
he's gone. Lamar,
right? That's no
Roman's
longer an
gone.
issue. So, like, what are we talking about here? It's just
They went and got a guy that they thought would, that they believe is really perfect to take Lamar to the next level and take this offense to the next level.
Right.
I agree. There's no doubt Lamar was frustrated certainly in the last year and probably the last 2 years of the offense. I doubt he was frustrated in 2019. But yeah, he was frustrated, and he's gone. Greg Roman's gone.
Yeah, we were all frustrated, right?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, my goodness, everybody's screaming at their television screens. I mean, it was making you want to headbutt a wall. But yeah, he's gone. So it should be all good, right? Hey, make sure. Hey, Sean Pisker says he thinks we missed his chat. I don't know if you saw it in there, DK. I know.
Yeah,
I've been trying to keep up with it, but yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating, man. I just want this resolution to come, and I'm just nervous that it's going to keep being kicked down the can. You're going to keep kicking the can down the road, down the road, because now reports are that Lamar would be okay if it came to the point of him playing under the franchise tag, which would just aggravate the all heck out of me if we have to deal with another season of this. Sean says, guys, I'm not going to lie, I love Lamar, but I'm over all this. About done with him. What happened to Lamar that only cared about a ring?
Yeah, I want to speak to this because I heard this earlier after that season where, Lamar felt like there was a lot of pressure on him and he was starting to change and he wasn't happy go. And I brushed it all off and I'm like, man, like just stop. Yeah, obviously there's a lot of pressure on him. How do you follow up a MVP season like that? But I do think that there is some credit. There is something here in that I'm not asking Lamar to take some major haircut, some major deal. I am asking for some to be a partnership with the Ravens and some vulnerability on both sides to make sure it works out equally. So that way we can maintain flexibility. But I do think that the pressure, the psychological pressure has gotten to Lamar a bit. And I think we saw that a little bit last year. I think we did. I think we simply did. Now, obviously, he still had moments where he absolutely balled out. The beginning of the season, he was crushing it. But at the end of the day, I think that we're seeing it now. And just thinking about it day and night, it's exhausting for us.
Yeah. Imagine being in it.
Right. Yeah. So I get it, Sean. I didn't think that before, but starting to think about that now in the way that it
But man,
he's kind of taking over his
brain
space.
I still want all this to just go away and hear a deal is reached tomorrow. DK, what do you got for us here? Here we go.
All right.
Okay.
So this is a decent comparison, is what it is. Some comparables.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
Guaranteed money on some deals. Watson obviously gets a 230 fully guaranteed, 46 annually. Wilson 165 guaranteed, 33 annually. Murray 5 years, 160 guaranteed, 32 annually. And a 5th-year option, 6 years, 189 guaranteed. And then Allen
who has that option, if it's a team option or a player option. I'm assuming team option.
Yeah. And then Allen is 6-year, 150 guaranteed, 25 annual guaranteed. Lamar 3 years, 133 guaranteed, 44 and a third annual guaranteed.
So his annual guarantees would be second only to Watson if the deal that Lamar himself tweeted out is, in fact, a deal he turned down. So his guarantees would only be second to the one deal that every owner is labeling as an outlier and a deal that nobody would want to have. So that's interesting, is it not?
Oh, it's very interesting. I mean, it is. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, I think this is super interesting. And the important thing to notice here is not annual salary; it's annual guaranteed salary. That's what we're talking about, because that's the sticking point for Lamar. It's not the annual salary; it's the annual guaranteed salary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right, let's see. If you're tell us. JL says, if you're EDC, how do you move forward? I don't know. None of it sounds good. You end up losing if you lose a guy like Lamar. I don't know. Do you like one of these guys in the draft? Do you stick with Huntley? But I really don't think the Ravens, if Lamar Jackson leaves Baltimore, I don't think it's going to be I would be shocked if it's for a better deal. I think the Ravens just simply match. It would be because he's just doesn't want to deal with the Ravens anymore. But let me ask you this question really quickly, Glenn. The way that this has gone down, how do you think this affects how these teams or Lamar's interactability, his desire to be interacted with? You talked about this before with Orlando Brown, right? Where you're like, okay, dude, well, we want a guy who's going to be flexible, this, that, and the other. So how does this affect Lamar's approachability, right? Knowing how these things have happened.
No doubt that's going to affect him moving forward. There is no GM in the league that is envious of the seat that Eric DeCosta is sitting in right now. There is no GM going, man, I really wish I had the negotiation, the strict and exclusive negotiation. Nobody wants to be in the seat that Eric DeCosta is in. There's just none. So, no, I think that this is definitely going to negatively affect the other team's willingness to come out and spend that type of money, give up that type of draft compensation, knowing that you might not have the flexibility you're hoping for moving down the line. I mean, to what degree? Who knows? There might still be a team who doesn't care, but I guarantee you that there's GMs out there that would not want to have the headache that Eric DeCosta's got right now. There's no way. So, Jay, I'll kick a question back to you. JL says, tell us, if you're EDC, how do you move forward, Jimbo?
Yeah, I mean, it just really depends on who you like in this draft and who ends up, if you get a person that a deal is presented to Lamar that you if I think that's what he's mentioning, like if Lamar moves on, how do you move forward, or how do you move forward in
Or
negotiations?
just period. What do you do from now? Right now, you just wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about tomorrow. It's all about the next few days. Who's gonna step up and pay the piper? Right? Is it gonna be the commies? Is it gonna be Ol Ursay?
Colts.
Yeah, coming back to burn Baltimore one more time. Is that what it's gonna be? I think those are. I don't know. Am I crazy to say that it looks to me that those are the only teams left that look to be in play to do that? Would be the Commanders or the Colts. Anyone else? Anyone else I'm missing? I know people have talked about the Patriots. Oh yeah, and the Titans, right? I know people have talked about the Patriots as well, but I don't know. And I said that before as a dark horse. Other than Belichick loving him, I don't know if Kraft does that deal.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So
I don't think so either. Let's see. Sega Genesis says, when you fire your OC who ran him into the ground, years too late, plus the
oh boy,
S&C years. What is this? S&C years.
Oh, I don't know. DK, if you know. I have no idea. Type it in our chat, DK.
I'm stupid. Only when you know a report's coming, there'll be mistrust, an OC change and sudden promotion of strength and conditioning. An OC change and sudden promotion of strength and conditioning from within is too little, too late. When you fire your OC who ran him into the ground.
Basically, we waited too long. But Glenn, I don't mean to open a can of worms. We had a long conversation about this. Years too late for Greg Roman. So what year would you have fired him? Years too late.
He was here for 4 years, right? So
Yeah,
would you have fired him after the first year when he had the number 1 offense? You
No.
wouldn't have fired him after year 1, right? Year 2, we dropped to the number 7 overall offense, which, by the way, was second in the franchise's history. We had risen as high as 9 before Greg Roman got here. So you're not going to fire him after the second year because that was the COVID year. He was still 7th.
Yeah,
in the
which
National
is
Football League. So
right. So he had just been ranked first and second in all-time team history in offense.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not going to fire him after 2 years, right? The third year, Lamar Jackson missed the last 5 games. And when Lamar Jackson was healthy, we were the number 1 seed in the AFC. So some would say you should have fired him after the third year. But I think everyone could at least understand, right? Like, can't you understand why coach wouldn't have fired him and said, let me try 1 more year when we had the best 2 offenses in the franchise's history under the first 2 years, and the last year it was injuries all up and down the field. We lost our whole backfield. We lost our star quarterback for the last 5 games. I can understand why coach would have said, I'm going to give him 1 more year, and then he fired him after that year. So the only argument is that you fired him 1 year too late. That's the only argument. There's no argument to fire him after the first 2 years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You'd be crazy to fire the greatest assistant coach in the team's history outside of Marvin Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you. So anyway, I figured I know you were a bit fired up about that one a week or so ago, so I'd let you handle that one. DK, what other ones we got coming?
Now the strength coach,
Jimbo,
guy
should have been gone a while ago.
I absolutely agree with them. I mean, that is ridiculous. The guy should have been gone after the COVID outbreak 2 years ago.
You must have some dirt on John or something.
Yeah, that I agree was ridiculous. It was egregious. He should have been gone way before. But I'm not gonna just destroy John for firing an offensive coordinator after 4 seasons when 2 of the 4 were the greatest single offensive seasons in the history of our team.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Travis says the truth. Will he do a Bozeman and take less? Well, Bozeman took the 1 year deal and then got
paid.
Yeah, he got paid. I still think he got a little. I think he's better than Ben Powers in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But so I still think he got underpaid. Based on my.
I think he got paid accurately. He's got some attributes that make him valuable, but he's got some serious athletic deficiencies that make him never going to be paid as the top.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I'm just saying, I think 1 for 1, I would rather give my money to Bozeman than to Powers if it were the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But so I was still surprised by the slightness of the deal, but good for him. I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm sure all he really wants to do is play some football, hang out with his family, eat some food, and hang out in the woods. So like that doesn't cost a lot of money. Michael Jarrett says Watson's deal has already been restructured. Does that give everyone something to think about?
Oh, I'm glad he brought this up because he's right. They did restructure Deshaun Watson's deal because his cap hit was set to be $54 million over the next 4 years. So they said, we got to do something about this. This is crazy, right? Because that's way too high. So they did restructure it, Jimbo, but let's show what they did because as a fully guaranteed deal, what can you actually do? So let's see what they did. So what they did, Jimbo, is they did rework it to make this year's cap hit just $19 million. But look what that meant for the next 3 years, Jimbo. The money doesn't go anywhere. It just changes. Like you still got to pay this guy. So next year they get to look forward to a $64 million cap hit. And then I can only imagine they're going to try and do something there. And then next year's going to be $100 million.
Think about this, Glenn. That is clear far and away above all of, think of the Ravens starting offensive line. Think of the entire running back room. And most likely the tight end room.
Well, we wouldn't hear issues about the defense making too much money, would we?
No, because you can't. I mean, it would just be Roquan on one side.
And Lamar on the other.
And they would just, I mean, look, if you only got 2 guys on a football field, those are probably 2 good guys out on a football field.
It's a good start.
Ultimately, this is brutal. And
look, and Lamar's only going to be second to this. It's not like we're saying he should be paid peanuts. We're just saying we just don't want to have everybody get fully guaranteed deals.
I also want to remind everyone who thinks that we hate Lamar Jackson. Glenn was the first one in 2019 preseason said Lamar Jackson's win the MVP when the odds were something stupid. It was like August. We love Lamar Jackson. We want him to be here, but we want him to be partners with the Baltimore Ravens because we want our organization to be successful. And based on
I don't want to be the Browns.
Right. Based on the way that the finances in football work, you have a hard cap. Everyone has to have show some sort of flexibility or else the problems ensue. It's just that simple. It just is. It's just that simple. So that's brutal, man. DK says Watson restructuring is set by the Browns. He didn't even agree to it. The contracts include clauses so they can automatically do this. But the reason
he don't give a damn,
right?
He don't my 2/3.
Yeah, exactly. Because whether it's today, tomorrow, the next day, or the next day, he's getting his money. Dead to rights, he's getting his money. That's just what it is. So, right. Look, I mean, anyway, I just think it's all a bit crazy right now. Are we up to date on Super Chats, DK? Is there one more? JL says Ravens have a ton of flexibility to match an offer sheet, even if the first year cap hit is high, they can match and then restructure. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. What if the Ravens match, Lamar can still take the other deal, right? Ultimately, it's up to Lamar, right?
Well, I think if they match, he comes home.
He can't decide then.
But not to my understanding.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. That's what I thought, but I was thinking about it earlier and I was like,
why else would you have the right to match? Like that would be a huge disadvantage for the team, allowing him to.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's a good point.
That would be massive. Like,
yeah. That's true.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want this to be over, Jim. Because here's the problem: when you end up in this situation, I don't want to be in the Ravens camp or Lamar camp. I want to be in, the Ravens should be both Lamar and I want to be in the camp of all. And it just sucks that you have to
pick sides. And
I don't want to pick sides. This is BS.
Thanks, national media. JL, also Watson's cap hit is skewed due to year one. Sure, but Lamar's deal nonetheless
slimy to do it anyway.
It was gross. But ultimately, it will be akin to these numbers, whether they're exact more or less. It will be very, very, very close to these numbers. So let's take this last super chat, Glenn, and let's wrap this baby up. I got some chocolate chip cookies waiting for me upstairs. So let's get to it. Sean Pisker says, at the end of the day, I'm a Ravens fan. I love Lamar, but I'm a Ravens fan. Always will be. And like, that's all I feel you, Sean. Like I'm with you there. Like ultimately, this is my team. It's been my team. It will always be my team. Like I think less of people that switch loyalties when I meet them for the first time. They tell me they switch up teams. You just got knocked down in my opinion of you. So don't tell me when you meet me if you switch football team loyalties, because I think that says a lot about a person. Ultimately, yeah, I mean, if I have to, they're my team. They've been here before Lamar. They're going to be here after Lamar. So, but I want it to be Ravens and Lamar. I want them to be up in the Poconos, sitting in a heart-shaped hot tub, hanging out, drinking some champagne, loving on each other, and enjoying the honeymoon of a good contract, right? Like, that's what I want it to be.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, Sega Genesis says the first 4 years of Lamar's deal cap hits were, less than 23 million in 22. Last 4 years, dead last in wide receiver spending. Several number ones were traded. We got none. Why would he trust that if he compromises, that'll suddenly change while making more?
Yeah, well, how did the Arizona Cardinals do before Kyler Murray got injured? They have there's plenty of teams that you can say the very opposite. Like, sure, the Ravens made the playoffs, so did the Cowboys.
The Raiders went and got Devontae Adams, the best
and what
receiver
happened
in
to
football,
them?
and now
their quarterback's gone.
And they missed the playoffs. So it's not all about I get it. They
It's
should have done better at
short-sighted.
wideout. They should have done better at wideout. There's no doubt about it. But the free agency market was absolute hot trash. The best guy on the list was Kenny Golladay. The second best was Juju. So there was no guy. So yeah, could they have made a trade? They could have made a trade, and they missed out on the boat. Now, there wasn't a lot of those guys. There wasn't a lot of A.J. Browns up for trade.
Right.
So they missed out on a guy. They 100% did, and they should have done more as a contingency plan to build the depth of that position. I 100% agree. But let's remember, there was not a number one wide receiver available in the open market, not even close. There wasn't even a number two available in the market in my eyes. There was 3s and 4s, and then worse. So let's not, and that's not like the only way you can support your quarterback is with a wide receiver. You can do so with a monster offensive line, a great run game, and great pass catching tight end. Hey, what did the Giants just went out? They cut
Waller.
Kenny Golladay. They said, you know what? Our quarterback does. They think he benefits more from having an athletic pass catching tight end. They went out and got Waller. And I guarantee you Danny Dimes benefits in a huge way from having Darren Waller there. No doubt about it. So there's more ways that you can help your quarterback except for just one position. You mean to tell me the offensive line doesn't help your quarterback?
Yeah, Joe Burrow's been nothing but demolished for his entire NFL career. And, think about all the teams that don't have a solid defense behind him, which makes the offensive responsibility even that much higher. So, yeah, there's a ton of ways to do it. Glenn, I think that's it for us tonight, my man. It's been an absolute conversation. We're just getting started. It's Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday with a lot of new news. A lot of new things will come out. One thing that DK has made clear, make sure you guys follow DK on Twitter, by the way. He's a great follow. But as soon as offers start coming back and forth, remember that these teams don't have this agreement, this handshake agreement to be quiet, right, with Lamar. So if we're already seeing things start to leak and come out, then more information is going to come out. So yeah, take us home with a song. Take me home. Come on, Glenn.
Country road.
There you go.
Dude, honestly, I have no idea. Oh shoot, my bad. Put that back up, DK. Put that back up because it's just Quan says offensive line helps, but the past 4 Super Bowl champs had wide receivers.
We just talked about this.
The Chiefs wide receiver core was nothing to be
Sky Moore
praised.
and Valdez.
Look, Kadarius Toney was banged up. Kadarius Toney was
their best
casted
receiver.
away. Like, come on. They had decent receivers. Look, everybody had better receivers than the Ravens when Bateman went down and Duvernay went down, but they didn't have a great receiving core, guys. Come on. Yeah. Now they had a great tight end and they had a bunch of 3s.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys for signing in as well because we had great numbers tonight, over 400 for almost the entire show. So thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate all the people who disagree because
thank you.
We didn't have people who disagree. We couldn't even.
You were the oxygen to the fire.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Keep coming out.
Even if you call us homers and you call us EDC apologists and you say that's okay. Because if we didn't have you, the show would be awfully boring sitting in an echo chamber of like opinions. So I appreciate everybody's differing opinion, and we'll just agree to disagree.
Talk to you guys soon.
See ya.